So the US CPI came in today a bit hot, 3%, which was estimated to be only at 2.9%, which is basically the inflation report. And the market did not like that initially, but then we've seen a strong bounce overall on Bitcoin and Ethereum, as well as most of the altcoins we've seen today recovering faster after the initial sell-off after the news. And this is here, guys, showing us that while the market is getting overheated with a lot of bad news and a lot of things going around to get the people get us shaken out of our positions and get people panic selling here at these levels where Bitcoin is at 97k right now, while Ethereum now is slowly recovering back up. This shows you here what the 2025 outlook is going to look like, which is very important to pay attention to in today's video. Now, what you really notice here is still we have big large institutions buying up, especially Ethereum, which is an altcoin. And what we're noticing is we do have bullish news as well, like Goldman Sachs increased its spot 8 holdings by 2,000%. That's 20 folds, 20x they did increase. They are buying up everybody's weak hands. They're buying them spaghetti hands up. And now they're up, or they accumulated over $476 million worth of Ethereum. And nobody is actually believing now on Ethereum, while the sentiment on Ethereum right now is at its lowest, which we're going to go through here as well. Now, what you notice is we have those bullish news, we have those bearish news, but the market is just going sideways, you could say, with the here and there kind of shakeouts that get people to panic sell very quickly, very easily. And you can see how we can just turn the tides and how quickly things can change from yesterday. Everybody run for the exit is over to today. Again, we're seeing a bounce, especially after a CPI or a bad CPI report. Now, this tells you how an actual bull market happens is there is gonna be a lot of whales, kind of, you could call it manipulating the market, but rightfully so. Whales are gonna do whales thing, where it's always been happening since the dawn of markets, where there are gonna be panic sellers and there are gonna be panic buyers, and there are gonna be people that buy the fear and people that buy the greed, and it always works like that. Now, by the way, if we look at that fear and greed index, which is now at its lowest point, which basically we see usually the bottoms happen, and usually what happens is that smart money and those large whales, they buy the fear, while when we get to extreme greed, that's when retail and usual losers starts to buy. So that's important to keep in mind as of how these things are going to keep playing this cycle or 2025, is that we're going to see a lot of these whales now accumulating and buying a lot. While the market is in disbelief when it comes to anything bullish, the market also is in disbelief when it comes to anything bearish, which is pure uncertainty and doubts happening in the market right now, and which tells me we pretty much have seen, or we pretty much are now looking at bottoms all across the board here, especially with the fear and greed index. Now, what you see here, guys, is we need Ethereum to start pumping. That's very important. But what we notice with Ethereum as well, and what we notice is clear as day, when we are here at the bottom, what we notice happening, what's the activity like, right? What we notice is now at the bottom of this range, Ethereum is being bought up by large institutions, while the retail is doing what the retail does best, freak out, fear. So we can clearly know that if you look at the bubbles, the whole month of February and January was a black bat. Retail is freaking out. Retail is clearly selling, and selling to strong hands. That's the thing that really keeps me very bullish here. You can see that you can make this up. While we are at the bottom here and everybody's screaming, we're seeing these institutions buying. So if you look at it from a fundamental way, from a fundamental analysis, let's say, we're seeing BlackRock, ETFs and all that. We're seeing a lot of ETFs now being applied for, even a Dogecoin ETF. We're seeing big institutions buying Bitcoin and ETH. at the range low. So they successfully actually got these altcoins to sell off so they can buy. They've done their best to do so. While this is when the ETH ETF started, and then we've seen that bounce completely selling off toward these lows where smart money can accumulate. And we're seeing again with the November pump, with the Trump pump, while this was unexpected by, let's say, most of the big banks and large institutions to actually see this major rally, and nobody could have predicted that actually Trump would win. And then since we've seen another retrace back lower to this accumulation. You could say that this is basically what's playing out here, or what's at play is that whoever is trying to accumulate it, they are trying to do so around these levels, around 2000 or below 2500, let's call that, between 2500 and 2100, which tells me we're going to see that final breakout and final breaking out above 4K just right around here. And we might never look back. Once we break out from this range, which you can see clearly here, we're ranging here. Once we break out, we break the all-time high, we're never looking back. And this pretty much tells us how 2025 is going to go, with a strong Ethereum, with strong altcoins. If we have a strong Ethereum, we have strong altcoins. The second thing we want to look at, or the thing that I've been looking at now, is the dollar. So the dollar is basically the reverse crypto. When the dollar is going up, crypto is going down. When dollar is going down, crypto is going up. And what we see here is, again, we have good data point here when it comes to Trump, because Trump also won or was in office in 2017, and this is exactly the time he took office, January 20th of 2017. And since he took office, dollar sold off completely. So if I add ETH here, as it can show us what altcoins in general did back in time, you can see when Trump took office, ETH started pumping, dollar started going down. Now with Biden as well, we had a bull market, but Biden came in later. Biden came in right at the end, or right at the last rally of that bull market. And the same thing happened with Biden as well. While we're seeing the dollar gaining strength, we did have a bull market, but then you can see the major sell-off happened with this astronomical break above all-time high from the dollar. That's when we actually had the sell-off. But most importantly, what matters to us here is Trump. So when Trump is in the office, usually the dollar gets weaker, or that's what we've seen in the past with Trump. So are we going to see the same thing, especially that if we look at how the chart look, and it is very similar. This is the weekly that the dollar started selling off before Trump inauguration. And look at this peak here. So we have this 1, 2, and then a higher high here to break above, and then like a fake out, we can call it a fake out that took us back below the range on the dollar, and then dollar sold off. Are we seeing the same thing here? Look how this is completely similar. We have this high and high, which is a fake out, possible fake out, which is in play right now. You can see this weekly candle on the DXY, the dollar. It's completely sold off that strength, and then it's going back down. These are the effects of the tariffs and this new introduced bills and whatnot that the Trump is doing. Even though we've seen today Jerome Powell speaking about they still need to see and understand what the new policies are going to be like to actually react to either giving us finally the money printer or not. But this tells me we pretty much, or the chart is showing us that we are going to get the money printer on very soon. So this is showing the dollar is kind of peaking back down. It's just like in back in the days with Trump. It's very similar. Double top here, then fake out, then sell off, double top, fake out, and sell off. What are the odds here? Will this play out the same? We might see actually this playing out the same. It's very likely. And once again, this is as well what got ETH to start to rally. So here we have ETH on the log scale. So it doesn't show how crazy this pump was, but you can see as soon as the dollar started selling off, ETH started going parabolic. Let's put this on a regular scale to just show you how crazy this can get. And you can see this is the regular pump you see usually when you look at the charts without log scale. You can see how crazy this pump on ETH with the dollar selling off. And actually it started way later when the dollar kind of broke below the range. This is when we started to see the pumps. Now here the pump started way before Biden's inauguration, and I do think this is mainly because the dollar was already selling off. The dollar was already in its way down, and that's when we seen it started to break up and slowly gain momentum, and then really it kind of killed the mood here when the dollar came back to this previous range. So you can see this is the top. This is when the dollar came back to its previous ranges here, and that's marked the top here on it. And the dollar just kept going, and the bear market just kept going. And since then, the dollar really just hasn't been doing much. And since it broke above this range, this previous range here, and had this fake out to the upside, that's when it started having this weakness. So that's very important and key to look at, because usually when the dollar takes a direction, it usually stays on that direction for a long period of time, like a year or two. So now we're seeing a weakness when it comes to ETH because of the dollar actually being strong. But now we're seeing this cooling off the dollar. So as soon as the dollar gets back lower or starts to weaken again, and starts to get back here, this is as well another case for ETH to start to rally and put those astronomical gains. And for those that do not know, ETH is very important. It's important for ETH to start pumping. If there is no pumps on ETH, as you can see, it's very clear that with no pumps on ETH, there is no real sustained altcoin season. You can see altcoins, they pump and they start to break out, and they really have that momentum to start breaking out. But then as soon as ETH kills the show, they all come back down. This is why now, if we go back to ETH, as soon as ETH reclaims this level here, 2,700, this is the most important level now. As soon as it does that and starts gaining, we will see a major reversal here. Major, it can be very fast because everybody now is waiting for any actual strength or signs of strength. We're seeing now bullish news, like I said. Bullish news are not affecting the news. Like, even I have a friend calling me, why bullish news don't affect the market anymore? And the case is basically the market is waiting for a confirmation now. Now, the big banks and such, they don't need that. They have their own tools and they have their own deep pockets to buy up the block. But the average retail or the average hedge funds, they do need to wait for confirmation. And the confirmation for them is to actually see some sort of momentum gaining back up. And this is pretty much reflected into the fear and greed index. The fear and greed index is basically telling us all what we need to know, basically. And now it's at its lowest moment. So even the big whales or medium-sized whales, they would be scared here, or they will wait for a confirmation. So the change in the mood on the market here can happen very fast, where everybody can quickly switch from it's going to zero to it's the moon, because this is basically what the market is waiting for now. The market is really begging for some sort of confirmation to happen, and that, in my opinion, will happen as soon as it starts to regain control and starts to rally back up. Now, this level, I do think it's the actual level we need to break the 2,700. As you can see, it was the kind of resistance we had here back in this accumulation here, and back in the time also this was a point of rejection here, and then we went below again. But as soon as we break above it, usually we start to see the rallies. We break above 2,700, it starts to rally. We break above it again, it rallies, and then now we are just right below it. So that's, as soon as this is gonna happen, it's gonna switch very fast, and it's gonna bring that enthusiasm and optimism back very fast, as we've seen previously in the past. And just to give you some perspective, we can add you can add pretty much any coin, but we can add Pepe because it has been around for a while now, since 2023, and it can show us exactly what this means when the FOMO kicks back in, when it starts to look good again, and that's can give us an idea of what happens usually. So let's put that on the daily, and you can see how fast things can break as soon as it shows any sign of strength, and you can see that clearly here. Now, as soon as it broke out of that 2,700 back in the days here, it took few days for actually Pepe to go parabolic with non-stop. And then as soon as it lags, Pepe lags as well, but Pepe outperforms here and there with some outperformance pockets as well as underperformance like today. But the thing is, you can see how things can quickly change and quickly go from bearish to bullish, and how people always say, how did I miss the pump? How did I not see this happening? How did I get tricked again? How did I panic sell again? Well, basically it's because people need confirmation, need to see the green candles again to have any hope. But we can front run this kind of candles, or we can front run the runs by just knowing these simple things. Now you can see this is when it broke above its all-time, or that 2,700 level. It broke above it, and then Pepe took about 2 to 3 days to actually start following, and then only after 1 week, let's say, it's really squeezed up and really outperformed. So you can see how this thing can quickly shift back up quickly, very, very quickly. You can see as soon as this goes back here, the market will quickly shift back up and leave everyone behind. And this is basically what happens all the time. And this is what's happening in front of our eyes today, is that we're seeing these large whales buying up and all that, because they know they can control the price and they can quickly get everyone back into the market at a higher prices as soon as they it is above 2,700, or let's say 3K. They know if they do that and they start closing daily candles above it, they know they can get people to FOMO back into their bags that they sold, panic sold at the lows. And they keep doing that, rinse and repeat, until retail is done with, and retail has no money, because retail is just panic selling the lows and buying the highs as usual. So but there are gonna be time where we're gonna have easy markets, or easy up only. This is what you hear about if you never experienced the bull market. This is basically what you were all waiting for. When things stop being predatory like today, and PvP and all that, it becomes more easy, where things just go up constantly, where you actually just press the buy button and you start making money. And this is when we have an uncontrolled hype and FOMO in the market, and that's what we basically would need to reach. But for now, the markets are gonna be hard, and then gonna try to get everybody to sell the low and then buy the high. But I do think the next run up on ETH is gonna be ETH, especially the break above 4K. So most people are gonna FOMO back around 4K ETH. When I say ETH, I mean they're gonna FOMO on every altcoin they ever known exists, because they see that they got tricked again, and people FOMO harder when they see they missed out. Basically, that's what is it about, fear of missing out. So fear of missing out is basically translates to, oh shit, I missed out, let me buy now. So you can see it clearly as soon as ETH gives any signs of hope, we're going higher. And the reason we know ETH is going back up is tracking the DXY, and usually what happens, and we have the exact same pattern playing out again here on that DXY when we compare it to ETH here. So keep that in mind. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching today's video till the end, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.